Better have your shit together, because this may be the end of what we see when it comes to Martell Holt if you do not beat these charges. Nobody's taking any type of chances with anybody that has anything linked to anything that even alludes to abuse on women. And so it's just, to me, it's not part of his character. I just think she's upset, and she has a right to be upset, and she's scorned. I get it, but and he's still with Arionne, and so yeah, I would be petty too. Arionne took him from her all them years, and so now she's gonna take him from Arionne in the world. So it's tit for tat. That karma, you don't have a date on how that karma is returned, and so Martell just gonna have to eat this one. So y'all want to pray for him? Pray for him. If you don't, send him to hell. Okay. Here's his mugshot though. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What if I told you the biggest scandal in Huntsville isn't just about cheating, it's about secret tapes, courtroom drama, and a man whose entire empire might collapse before our eyes? Let's get into it. Everyone, pause whatever you're doing, because Huntsville is in flames. And no, not the cozy, candlelit kind of fire. This is the type of blaze that makes you sit up straight, grab your snacks, and wonder if your Wi-Fi can even handle the chaos. Forget Oprah's book club, Shakeup's Tasha K. Just dropped a revelation so explosive that even reality TV couldn't script it better. The shocking claim: Martell Holt may have threatened to release a private recording of his own wife, yes, Melody, and hovering in the background, as always, is Arionne Curry, the self-proclaimed coleslaw queen. Her decision to strut into court in a mini dress only fueled whispers that she wasn't just seeking attention, she was trying to steal it. Add to that the rumors of secret deals, shady elevator encounters, and leaked footage circling in group chats, and it's clear, Huntsville isn't just gossiping, it's spiraling. But don't mistake this for your everyday love triangle. What's unfolding is closer to a Greek tragedy, only this one has side chicks, Instagram lives, and courtroom drama playing the role of the chorus. The real question simmering under it all: is Martell Holt Huntsville's ultimate villain, or just a clown addicted to chaos who won't let his family move on? Martell's name alone has become shorthand for scandal. Every new rumor reminds Huntsville why his reputation is so tainted. And when Arionne is in the mix, things inevitably escalates. Her notoriety seems to follow her into every scene, no matter how she tries to reshape her image. The internet nearly imploded when Tasha K's bombshell hit. The accusation was simple but brutal. Martell once recorded an intimate moment with Melody and later used that tape as leverage. Even if no one has seen the footage, the possibility alone was enough to send shockwaves. It wasn't just messy, it was manipulative, cruel, and a low point even for Martell, whose brand has been unraveling for years. The timing couldn't have been worse. With court hearings already exposing cracks in his character and fans growing weary, this revelation felt like the final straw. Supporters who once defended him started backing away, saying they could no longer excuse his behavior. What followed was a flood of voices rallying behind Melody, many of them people who had previously stayed silent. And yet, Martell's response: smirks and dismissals. Rather than show remorse, he brushed it off like beauty shop chatter. He even mocked Melody's appearance in court, poking fun at her white suit, as though her composure and dignity were a punchline. For many, this reaction spoke louder than the rumor itself. A man unwilling, or perhaps unable, to take accountability. When given the chance to show remorse, Martell didn't soften, he doubled down with arrogance and mockery. For fans, that was the final confirmation. This wasn't confidence anymore. It was cowardice wrapped in bravado. What once came off as swagger now looked like cruelty, and the act was wearing thin. The courthouse elevator incident only deepened the scandal. In that cramped space, with Martell, Melody, and Arionne forced together, tension filled the air. Rather than keeping quiet, Arionne chose to throw jabs, loudly reminding Melody of her ties to another woman's husband's family. The irony was striking. Arionne had spent years insisting she wasn't the side character, yet here she was, invading Melody's personal space with words meant to wound. But Melody's reaction stole the spotlight. She didn't yell, didn't lash out. She stood tall in silence, letting composure do the talking. That moment became symbolic. Melody and her supporters embodied strength and dignity, while Martell and Arionne seemed to thrive on noise and spectacle. His empty grin and her desperate remarks revealed more than they realized. The silence itself was louder than their chaos. As fans pieced things together, they recognized this wasn't a one-off scandal. It was part of a long-running pattern. For years, Martell had avoided accountability by manipulating narratives, gaslighting others, and playing the victim even when he was the aggressor, whether it was fights with the Scotts, disrespect toward Melody, or his attempts to rewrite history. The cycle was always the same. That's why Tasha K's revelation cut so deep. It validated everything Melody had been saying all along. Viewers who once doubted her began to regret not believing her sooner. The tide shifted, with public sympathy pouring toward Melody and away from Martell. And still, Martell refused to see the gravity of the situation. Instead of reflecting, he tried to spin yet another story, claiming he had proof of the real abusers and shifting blame back onto Melody and her family. But this time, the tactic fell flat. Fans were tired of sarcasm, tired of deflection. Laughing off serious accusations didn't erase them, and pointing fingers didn't change the reality. Martell's own decisions had brought him here. At this stage, the drama had moved beyond entertaining chaos. It had taken on a darker edge, one that made the audience uncomfortable. When he dismissed claims that he used his wife's privacy as a weapon, many felt he had crossed a line that even reality TV shouldn't normalize. That was when the patience truly snapped. Rumors spread of hidden recordings, leaked conversations, and supposed evidence circulating in group chats. Martell himself had allegedly boasted about having dirt on Melody and other castmates, implying he'd burn everything down if he went down to too many. That suggested something far more disturbing than petty drama. It hinted at control, manipulation, and a willingness to weaponize intimacy. And while courts move slowly, the court of public opinion does not. The backlash was immediate and severe. Fans began threatening to boycott events where Martell was scheduled to appear. Hashtags demanding accountability gained traction, and businesses quietly started distancing themselves from his brand. One gossip commentator summed it up perfectly: when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The internet wasted no time drawing its verdict. Clips of Martell grinning at the most inappropriate moments went viral, framed against montages of Melody's calm resolve turning her into the undeniable hero of the story. The contrast was striking, and the shift in perception became impossible to ignore. Even cast members who once tried to remain neutral found themselves dragged into the scandal. As silence was quickly equated with complicity, fans demanded answers. Where do you stand? Alliances fractured, and behind the scenes, producers scrambled to contain a controversy that now threatened the show's very survival. Arionne, long cast as the other woman, found her reputation sinking even lower. This time, public opinion was merciless. Supporters accused her of enabling Martell's behavior, benefiting from the drama while disregarding the consequences. Her elevator remarks, her lack of empathy toward Melody, and her continued loyalty to a man unraveling in public all became points of condemnation. Attempts to defend herself online only backfired. Her words came across as evasions, contradictions, and deflections rather than accountability. Each new twist pulled back another layer, revealing a scandal darker than the surface drama. Speculations spiraled into rumors of lawsuits from business partners, whispers of government scrutiny into Martell's finances, and the possibility that Melody might take legal action to protect her privacy, even unconfirmed. The sheer power of these rumors gave every update from bloggers and gossip outlets a ring of credibility. What began as reality TV mess was evolving into something far bigger, a story of betrayal, greed, and downfall unfolding in real time. And scandals of this magnitude never stay confined. Soon, whispers of legal action grew louder. Some claimed Melody's attorneys were quietly collecting evidence of intimidation. Others suggested former business partners were cutting ties and exploring legal remedies. Privacy violations, shady financial dealings, and breached contracts all entered the conversation. Opportunities to rehabilitate Martell's image evaporated, as sponsors and associates quietly backed away from a man whose name had become shorthand for chaos and disgrace. By the time the latest wave of gossip hit social media, the public had already passed judgment. Martell wasn't merely controversial anymore. He was the internet's cautionary tale. Timelines overflowed with memes mocking his arrogance, the kind that turned his every misstep into comedy fodder. Old clips of interviews, where he dismissed serious concerns with smirks or jokes, resurfaced with brutal edits and biting captions. The laughter wasn't with him anymore, it was at him. In stark contrast, Melody's quiet strength became a rallying cry. Hashtags like #ProtectMelody spread across platforms, uniting fans who saw in her composure a story of dignity against humiliation. The internet painted her as the heroine of a narrative she never asked to star in but had been forced to endure. With every edit, every viral comparison, the contrast sharpened. Martell, once branded a charismatic reality star, was now viewed as the man who squandered his platform through ego. Huntsville's leading man had been recast as its living warning. And every time Martell logged on, he made it worse. Still joking, still dodging accountability, still brushing off serious accusations as if they were punchlines. His responses only confirmed the public's growing impression that he lacked maturity. For fans, the problem was no longer whether the rumors were true. It was the way he responded to them, with mockery instead of reflection, with arrogance instead of remorse. The more he tried to project control, the clearer it became he had none. Adding fuel to the fire were whispers of something darker than marital scandal. Blogs began hinting at financial mismanagement, suggesting Martell's empire wasn't as stable as he portrayed. Speculation spread that the IRS or even state investigators were circling. Suddenly, Martell wasn't just the star of messy reality TV. He was being framed as the main character of a potential true crime documentary. The mere possibility electrified the conversation. Fans debated endlessly. Would Melody take legal action over privacy violations? Would creditors or former business partners file lawsuits to protect themselves? Or would authorities step in with investigations that went far beyond reality TV drama? Even though none of it had been confirmed, the speculation alone was enough to glue audiences to their screens. Every leaked screenshot, every vague post from a blogger, every cryptic video felt like another breadcrumb in a scandal that seemed to be expanding by the day. And then there was Arionne. For years, she had leaned into the notoriety of being the other woman. But in this storm, that notoriety turned into quicksand. The internet branded her an enabler, accusing her of propping up Martell's reckless behavior while enjoying the perks of proximity to his chaos. Each clapback she posted online only dug the hole deeper. Rather than earning sympathy, she fueled mockery, with many pointing out the irony. She had tied her reputation to Martell's, and now she was going down with him. The infamous elevator exchange replayed endlessly across feeds, a constant reminder of her antagonism toward Melody. In that viral moment, every insult aimed at Melody cemented Arionne's position as a villain in the public imagination. And the internet is not generous to villains. Once you're painted as one, forgiveness becomes nearly impossible. Each replay, each sarcastic comment beneath the clips only hardened her portrayal as someone who thrived off another woman's pain. Behind the cameras, producers were caught in an impossible dilemma. Reality TV thrives on conflict. That's what makes it watchable. But this was something else entirely. There's a razor-thin line between drama that excites fans and scandal that threatens to burn down the whole franchise. And Martell had crossed it. Reports began to surface that cast members were divided. Some privately lobbied to have Martell removed, arguing that his presence endangered not just their reputations but the credibility of the show itself. Others hesitated, worrying that cutting him loose would only fuel backlash, or weaken the storylines that had made the series a cultural talking point. What no one could deny was that the tension had spilled onto the set. Filming, once chaotic but manageable, turned volatile. Clashes between cast members grew sharper. Alliances frayed under the weight of public scrutiny, and even routine scenes reportedly spiraled into arguments. What had once been entertainment was now a liability. With Martell at the center of the storm, producers, according to rumors, scrambled behind the scenes, holding emergency meetings to decide how to navigate a scandal that wasn't scripted but felt destined to tank everything if not handled with precision. Martell's downfall became a textbook case of image collapse. For years, he had cultivated a persona of control, strength, and charm, carefully managing how he was seen both on and off screen. But now, that image was unraveling thread by thread. Undone, not by one mistake but by a consistent refusal to accept responsibility. Every deflection, every sarcastic laugh, every misplaced grin in the face of serious allegations became another crack in the facade. And once the public turns, there's rarely a way back. Sponsors, once eager to align with his reality star appeal, quietly stepped away. Business partners looked for exit strategies. Even fans who had defended him at the height of the scandal slowly withdrew, unwilling to risk association with someone whose name had become synonymous with dishonesty and disgrace. The more Martell fought to maintain control, the further he seemed to sink. The irony was bitter. He had once been positioned as a face of Huntsville's aspirational lifestyle, a man who embodied success, ambition, and charisma. Now, he was portrayed as its warning sign, a symbol of what happens when ego, deception, and manipulation are exposed to the harsh light of public opinion. Even those who had once stood beside him began to distance themselves. Not out of betrayal but out of self-preservation. Arionne, too, faced the consequences of tying herself to Martell's chaos. Her attempts at self-defense online rang hollow, with fans pointing out inconsistencies in her narratives and her unwillingness to take responsibility for her role in the drama. Instead of reclaiming her image, she solidified her position as the enabler who relished Melody's suffering. The backlash wasn't just about Martell anymore, it was about everyone who stood by him. And all the while, the internet kept the scandal alive. Every day brought new speculation, new theories, new alleged leaks. Would Melody finally take Martell to court? Would the government step in over financial misconduct? Would hidden recordings surface as evidence? The uncertainty itself became addictive, making fans feel like they were piecing together a true crime puzzle in real time. For the producers, the stakes couldn't be higher. They knew reality TV is built on chaos, but too much chaos becomes poison. The franchise was walking a tightrope. Leaning too hard into Martell's drama could destroy its credibility. But cutting him loose risked alienating viewers who had been following the story for years. In the end, the question wasn't just about ratings, it was about survival. The broader lesson was impossible to ignore. This scandal had outgrown the show, outgrown the cast, and outgrown Huntsville itself. It wasn't just a reality TV mess anymore. It was a case study in how ego and manipulation can implode a brand, a career, and even an identity once carefully constructed. Martell's story had shifted from entertainment to cautionary tale. And perhaps the most haunting part was this: it all began with whispers of a tape, a rumor that spiraled into a narrative of betrayal, downfall, and destruction. Now, the only question left was whether this was the end of Martell Holt or just another chapter in a story that seemed determined to keep unfolding. By then, one truth was undeniable: Martell was no longer a character adding to the drama, he was the liability at the center of it. Years of carefully crafted image management collapsed under the weight of his own decisions. Once a symbol of Huntsville's aspirational lifestyle, he had become its warning sign. And as even his former defenders began to distance themselves, the portrait of a man undone by ego and manipulation grew painfully clear. What began with whispers of a tape had unraveled into something much larger. This was no longer just about Martell Holt or Arionne. It was about what happens when ego, power, and deception collide in public view. It was the slow-motion implosion of an image once built on charm, now reduced to fragments dissected daily by fans, bloggers, and critics alike. Each rumor, each reaction, and each revelation only fueled the storm further. The whispers became shouts. The shouts turned into headlines, and suddenly the world was watching. The very thing Martell once thrived on, attention, had transformed into the weapon, destroying him. Because once the spotlight exposes the cracks, there's no turning it off. Every clip replayed, every screenshot shared, every rumor dissected, it all painted a picture of a man unraveling in real time. Fans weren't just entertained anymore, they were invested. They analyzed his smirks in court, the shade from Arionne, the calm resilience from Melody. They debated in comments, argued in group chats, and created entire narratives on social media. And yet, underneath all the chaos, a deeper question lingered. What does it mean when private pain becomes public currency? So, where does that leave us? Is Martell truly the victim of exaggerated gossip and opportunistic bloggers, or is the mountain of evidence, Melody's unshakable composure, and the silence of former supporters proof that she was right all along? Is this simply reality TV gone too far? Or has it crossed into something darker? Cautionary tale of what happens when arrogance blinds someone to their own downfall. And more importantly, what does this saga say about the lengths people will go to preserve an image, even after it's already shattered? How many bridges will be burned? How many allies lost? How much dignity destroyed in the pursuit of saving face? One thing is certain: this story isn't finished. Every day brings the potential for another leak, another headline, another collapse. The stage is set, the players are exposed, and the audience is no longer just watching, they're judging, documenting, and holding receipts. And if you want the raw truth as it unfolds, you already know what to do. Stay tuned, because this ride isn't slowing down.